I want to welcome everyone, and this is one of our many Train World Facebook live sessions. And today we're honored to have the privilege of CEO of TCS Train Control System, John. And TCS, if you guys don't know, they're a huge manufacturer of DCC products. HO, N scale DCC. Some people even use it in G scale trains. But DCC stands for Digital Command Control. DCC is very relevant, very popular now. People like to run trains on multiple tracks. So we definitely want to welcome you. Grab your cup of coffee, get ready, because we are going to learn about TCS, their company, and also how to install a decoder. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest questions out there we get from a lot of new customers and even existing customers who are looking to get into DCC. And just learning how to do DCC, sometimes it can be easy, but you just got to be shown the right way. And we have the expert, the guru, the man, the myth, the legend, John from TCS CEO. So, John, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it today.
Great. Well, I'm so glad to be here, Ken. And again, my name is John Forsythe, owner and CEO of Train Control Systems. And today we're going to talk about how to install a sound decoder in a locomotive. And we're going to show you that it actually can be quite easy. We have a product that we call our WOW kits. In the kit, you also get a speaker and an enclosure, and we even give you some wire. We'll use that wire for our install. Now, some of the kits have other different components. Some of them might include screws. We have 25 different kits. If you go to our website, there is a wealth of information on installation pictures of sound and non-sound. In the last few years, we've added close to 100 pictures of installation pictures of decoder installations for WOW Sound. They're step by step. It gives you beginning to the end all you need to know about how to do this. And these kits are really fantastic. They make your installation, how to do an installation, really easy. You're not guessing, oh, well, okay, I got to select a decoder. What decoder should I get? Well, I'm going to need a speaker. What do I need? What size? What am I going to do there? How about keep line? Maybe if I want to get that, how am I going to fit that in? Well, we answer all those questions for you with this kit and with the installation pictures. We simplify it. And the price is $129.95. So if you think about that price, that's in line with what you would normally pay for a sound decoder from some of the other manufacturers just for that. So you're getting a good value with this kit. You're getting everything you need, the installation pictures on the website, how to do it, all for a very economical price. So let's get into it. Let's get into doing an installation. Now, this is our locomotive that I chose today to do. This is an Atlas GP38, and we're going to do a complete installation from beginning to end, including taking it out of the box. Okay. There's our locomotive for today. There's our candidate. All right. So typically, a lot of installations, the first thing you have to do is remove the couplers. That's not always the case. Sometimes the couplers don't have to come off for certain type of locomotives, depending on how the shells fit and whatnot. This one, I do know we have to take the couplers off. So for this one, we're going to just undo the screw. There's a screw holding the coupler pocket there and there. So I'll get started with that. That's easy to do. Oh, by the way, having a piece of foam to set your locomotive down to protect detail parts and whatnot is really helpful. Foam cradle of some sort, or just a flat piece of foam. So loosen the all right, there's the the rear coupler pocket. Front coupler pocket. We'll set them aside. Okay. Now, I know that this particular locomotive, the shell kind of clips in 3 different places. It clips in the front, in the middle, and the rear. And so in order to get to those clips, we got to take this fuel tank off in the middle. All right. There's no screws holding that on. It just kind of is a press fit. Sometimes you got to work it back and forth till it loosens, get one end gone. Okay. So that's our fuel tank. So we get that off and out of the way. We'll set that back here. And now, as I said, there's 3 places on this frame, on this Atlas. Right here in the middle, there's two clips.
Yeah, John, can you just move a little more left?
Left, sure.
There you go. Perfect. Beautiful.
Thanks, Ken. So it's kind of hard to get all 6 clips started, off and then going. So you can use, what I do is use toothpicks. That's a little helpful method. You can go in from this end, and it probably can't see exactly what I'm doing inside, but I'm just going to. All right. So those 2 rear clips are released from the frame via the toothpick, and then I will release the 2 here in the front. Okay, double check here. Oh. And now there's 2 in the middle. See, it won't quite. Oh, there. The ones in the middle were kind of loose anyway. So we'll. If the shell kind of separates like that from the walkways, that's kind of normal, not to worry about. All right, so there's our shell off. That one actually went pretty easy. And here is our locomotive. Set the shell side back here. Now, before I get into actually the next step of taking the original lighting board out, this board here is going to come out. I want to briefly talk about the tools that I'm going to use. Okay, I'm using a Weller soldering iron. This is my soldering pencil here. It's an 80-watt Weller soldering iron. This soldering station doesn't really use 80 watts. What it is, it's a temperature controlled soldering station. This is kind of professional grade equipment, but can you see that whole thing there, Ken?
Yeah.
That's my Weller soldering station. This cost about $350 for those who are wondering about that. But I've always felt that, you'll never regret the money you spend on good tools. They pay for themselves real quick, especially if you're doing a number of installations. You can have a really good temperature controlled tip for this type of work is really, really helpful, as opposed to just the real, cheap $20 irons you get. They'll work too, but once you work with something like this, you'll really appreciate it. Another tool that we're going to have handy is a solder holder. This is a neat thing. Whenever I do installations at shows, when people see this, they think, wow, that's really neat. I've never seen anything before like that. That's really handy. You can pull off your wire like this, so it keeps it nice and neat. The solder we use is a regular tin lead solder. Please don't use liquid flux or paste for your installation work on what you're going to be doing to solder to this motherboard. It causes problems if you don't get it thoroughly clean, and it's hard to cleaned once you have the board in there. You're better off just using this solder here. This, take the spool out. This is a Kester solder that we use. This is 1 pound. It's cost somewhere between $25 and $30, and a 1 pound spool for most guys is a lifetime supply. It's SN63 PB37, which means it's 63% tin, and PB is lead. That's 37%. So it's just a tin lead solder. It's a rosin core. That's the key. You know, any type of soldering you do need a flux, but the flux is built into this. So this is what we use in our production for our decoders when we have to, do handwork on anything.
John, just to chime in a little bit, we're getting a bunch of questions here and asking, I guess, ballpark about decoders, sound and non-sound, how much they are. And of course, we at TrainWorld.com, you can find discounted prices. But I guess for sound decoders, something like this, what are the customers looking at ballpark range? I know you discussed it a little earlier, but if you could just touch up on it again.
Sure, no problem. We'll review that. What we're really promoting is this WOW kit. It's $129.95. Okay. Which is like I said, if the other manufacturers that are out there are basically in that same price range for their quality decoder, but what they're not giving you is all the pieces that we have here in the kit: the motherboard with built-in Keep Alive, the speaker and the speaker enclosure, and of course the decoder.
So if you guys really make it easy for the customer, because I know a big part of sound decoders, when you go to other companies, you may find something. It may be a little less or even more, but you're adding in all the components that they really need, and it's probably a pain in the butt just to look around, see what they need. So you're making it easy.
Yeah, exactly. That brings a lot of value. It saves you a lot of time and frustration. Well, where do you even start?
Right.
So we give you that starting point by giving you everything here in the kit for a really economical price. Like if you were to buy everything individually, for example, the Keep Alive, which is built into this motherboard, that's typically $25 to $30.
Right.
Just in itself. A speaker kit in itself is between $15 and $20 for the kit, for the speaker and the enclosure. And then the decoder could be $129.95 by itself.
Right.
So what you're getting here with this kit, you're getting the Keep Alive. If you add all that up, it's like around $180 value. If you buy everything individually, we're talking MSRP prices.
Yep.
So it's a really great value, going from about $180 individually buying everything to a kit. And the other value, like Ken was saying, that you get with this is that you know exactly what you need for that locomotive. And there again, reference our website, because we have the pictures of about 100 different locomotives right now and counting. We keep adding more all the time. So, and it's a step-by-step pictures how to do it.
Yeah, Dave and Mayor Bill Bianchi, thank you so much for those questions. It's a great question. And again, TCS has more information on their website on the decoder install, and we also sell TCS products. We carry the full line. You could go to TrainWorld.com, and we sell them at discounted prices. So let's, I guess, keep on going, John, on the decoder install.
Great. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the original lighting board. All right. So the original lighting board in this Atlas just clips over top of the motor mount. So it's real easy to get out. Now this is actually a decoder, a DCC decoder, but it's not sound. I'm not sure. I think it might actually be an NCE decoder. I'm not sure. But what we're going to do is we're going to release all the wires from this board. Okay. The track power connections are here. The LEDs come into these plastic clips. This is a typical Atlas type board. Motor connections here, LED and track power on this left side. Okay, we're just going to pull these clips off. No need to save them. We're not going to reuse them. But this, I just use pair of pliers here, pull them off. You can actually just cut these off the wires and just leave the clips on. Either way works.
Now, John, how'd you learn all of this?
Well, just through experience mostly, doing it. My background personally, I'm an electronics technician by trade. I spent 17 years working for Bethlehem Steel as an electronic technician. So we got a lot of I have a lot of experience in just electronics and things like that. So once we started, some of these are kind of stubborn, so I'm just going to cut them. We're going to probably end up trimming some of these wires shorter later anyway. So don't be too concerned about it.
We want to thank the Queens County Model Railroad Association for sharing the video, and thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it.
Excellent. So just to finish up my little personal history, I also worked at another steel mill, Carpenter Technology in Reading, Pennsylvania for 5 years before I went full-time at TCS. We started making decoders in '99. So we've been doing this for close to 20 years. All right, so this is our original lighting board now removed, okay? And we're done with that, so we won't need any more. We'll set him aside. Now you can see all the wires coming up out of this locomotive. These wires here from the back are the track power pickup. They go down to the truck back here. So that's simple. There'll be 2 from the front truck.
Now, are the wires always the same on locomotives, or will they be switched around, or is it pretty much standard on everything?
Unfortunately, you will see a pretty big variety of colors. That's kind of unfortunate. They're actually, the NMRA does actually set forth a standard for wire colors, but the manufacturers don't always follow them. You'll often see black wires though, just coming up from the track. These are the black leads, and from the back, these are the 2 from the front. The LEDs generally will have 2 colors, so they help us out there most of the time with at least giving us a red and a black usually. But it is a mixed bag, and so yeah, you can't really count on a standard color, unfortunately. You know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do, that we've got our original board out of the way, we're going to now install what we call the motherboard. Obviously, motherboard is a term we borrow from the computer industry, where you have a main board and you plug your processors into that board, and they call the daughter motherboard. And we use the same terminology here because the motherboard is the bigger board and the decoder is considered the daughter board, and that is going to plug into here just like that. When we're all done, we'll show you that again later. But for now, we just want to get the motherboard. Again, this has the built-in keep alive here. So that's that feature that when you go over dirty track, problematic switches, frogs, crossovers, and you have those spots that could give you trouble, this keep alive will keep you going, both sound and motor and lights, for 3 to 6 seconds. There's generally plenty enough time to get you over those rough spots. So this just
and John, like you said, with that keep alive, nobody really has a kit that includes that. You guys are pretty much the first ones to bundle it together for a great price, and that's a unique feature that seems to be more and more people are gravitating towards, but you guys kind of already include it, which is a great feature.
Yes, that's an important part of our kits. Brings up another thought too. Keep Alive is actually a registered trademark of TCS. We kind of pioneered the use of Keep Alive quite a few years ago, and our competition has kind of copied with their devices, but they were quite far behind. TCS was really the first one to bring Keep Alive as a common product to the industry.
Interesting.
And, yeah, we trademarked that many years ago when we started selling Keep Alive products.
Now, John, I know you're an expert in this field, but is this something, have you seen beginners just knock this out of the park, or do you think this should be something that's left to the experts?
Good question, Ken. And I think that I would consider this installation here that I'm doing to be something that does not require expert skill.
Okay.
It's not for experts only. I'd say it could, if it's your first one that you're going to do, definitely you want to start with a WOW kit because you have the step-by-step instructions, and if you follow them, you're going to end up just fine.
Right, right.
But, take your time, and, the first one you do might take, it could take you a couple hours. As you'll see this one, when we're done, I'll have this done in well less than an hour. Okay.
Right.
So with just a little bit of experience and moderate skills and the right tools helps too. You can do an installation, like knock these out in between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. And for all the guys out there looking to get into DCC, so TCS make these WOW kits that kind of everything's included. You don't have to search around for different parts. What do I find for a baffle? What do I find for a Keep Alive kit? It's all together, which is great. So they're making it easy for the beginner. But the best part about these TCS is the website has so much information on step-by-step process. They have pictures, really like intense pictures where you could see what it will take to do it. And you could always circle back on like a video like this and watch how John is doing it. So really informative, and it will kind of walk you step by step, because the first time with anything, no matter what you do, riding a bike, whatever, it takes a little time. And but with the right process, the right guidance, you'll definitely be okay.
That's right. Thanks, Ken. All right, the next step we're going to do is prepare these wires. We're going to tin them. What's important for the installation process is to tin the board. You want to put some solder down on the pads where we're going to attach the wires.
What does tinning mean, John?
Tinning means we're going to add some solder to the surface of the board, the pad, where we're going to attach the wire. So if you look closely here, these are what I call pads on the circuit board. This is a track power pad. Over here is a track power pad. On this side is a track power pad. And when I tin them, I'm just going to lay down some solder on that. What you don't want to do is try to just solder wire, say put some solder on the wire and then just try to tack it down. To really have professional soldering results, what you want to do is put a puddle of solder, and I'll do that now, on the pads, just like this. And you want to keep, that's track power. I'm going to do the pads. These two here are for the LED. Now I'm going to come around to the other side and do pads on this side. This is for the motor, and now this weight here kind of gets in the way for soldering underneath there. I'm used to working with it that way, but you can actually you could tin these before you put this in there, and that would make this step actually a little easier. But
and it looks like you do have the right tool, soldering iron, because I know they make soldering guns, but it would seem like that would be bulky and get in the way. So it seems like that tool that you have is pretty flexible.
That's right. Yeah, it's lightweight. You can easily It's easy to handle it, maneuver it, and yeah, you wouldn't want any big iron on there. And so now that I've tinned the pads, I'm going to tin the wires. See, and before you tin the wires, you want to what you want to do is cut them short. You don't want a lot of exposed wire. So if you can see that wire there, that's less than an 1/8 inch. In fact, it's more. You could really get away with about a 64th of an inch. I trim them. I'm actually going to trim them a little more. You only need a tiny little bit. When you tin them, the insulation, the plastic insulation on the wire tends to shrink back a little bit anyway. So you're going to end up with a little extra exposed. But what you want to do is when you attach these wires to the pads, you don't want to have any exposed wire outside of the boundaries of the pad you're attaching to, because then you don't want to have frayed wires that could short to another adjacent pad or something like that. So keeping them short is really important. And watch out, tin this wire.
John, I just got a couple of questions before you keep on going. Larry wants to know, is there a particular kind of solder? I know you mentioned in the beginning, but if you could, what brand are you using?
Sure. Tell you what, I'm going to just quickly finish tinning these wires, and I'll show you. We got all those tins. Okay, sure. The solder I'm using. And by the way, you can go to our website, and we describe all this product on our website. In fact, there's a company called TechniTool, and they supply hand tools like this and little excellent, high quality pliers and stuff. The soldering station, everything, all the tools I get here, I got from TechniTool, and I got the solder from TechniTool. On our website, if you go to any of our installation pages, you'll have a blurb there that talks about to not use liquid or paste flux on this board, to only use rosin core solder approved for electronics. And here again, this is what we recommend, and you can find this on our website. It's Kester, which is a very big name in soldering supplies, and this is the part number. Well, this is the type SN63 PB37, which means it's 63% tin and 37% lead, and 44. It's Kester 44 rosin core. That's the premium stuff. That's the stuff professionals use. That's what you want to get. Here again, this is between $25 to $30 for a pound of it, and for most people, a pound is a lifetime supply. And you can get this from TechniTool, and there's actually a link on all of our installation pages that'll take you right to their website, and you can there's part numbers and everything on there, so it's really easy to find. Here again, this soldering spool holder, TechniTool, all this stuff came from them.
And so, John, Bill wants to know, he has a lot of older engines, and he's thinking about starting to get into installing decoders on some of his older engines. Is there any way first-timers can destroy the decoder if it's installed wrong?
That's a good question. No. One thing that's nice about these kits and the WOW 121 decoder, notice that this is I really haven't touched that. That stays aside, That's like the last thing we're going to do when we're done this installation is plug that in.
Gotcha.
So we're not soldering on the decoder itself, which has all the important stuff. We're not really touching that, handling that. That's like the last thing. You're doing all your work on the motherboard, which is really another big advantage of these kits, and when you put the motherboard in, everything's going to be nice and neat. You'll see when we're done. We're going to actually use this lacing cord. I haven't mentioned that, but that's the other thing. I'll demonstrate this lacing cord at the end. And this is something that you use to bundle the wires. You could use electrical tape or tie wraps, but both electrical tape and tie wraps are kind of too bulky and cumbersome to work with. And it's hard to cut little pieces of tape and get them around your wires to bundle them and stuff. This here lacing cord has been around since the days of tube TVs and tube radios. It's a wax impregnated string, and when you tie it in a knot, it kind of sticks to itself so it doesn't come apart. It's actually still used today. People have told me it's used in the aircraft industry because tire wraps get brittle because of the temperature changes, obviously going from high altitude to low altitude constantly. That certain plastics will get brittle because of that. So even in aircraft and the aviation industry, they still use this type for wire bundling because it stays flexible and doesn't crack, things like that. It is still available. We get from a company called DigiKey, and there again on our website you can find a link or a part number for the stuff that we're using here today, and it's relatively inexpensive. And this is kind of an indispensable tool that you're going to want to have in your at your disposal when you do decoder installation work.
John, the questions are starting to roll in. Curtis actually had an interesting question. When you do the tinning on the motherboard, why don't companies, I guess, already make it pre-tinned? Is there something where you want it tinned right away when you're doing it, or should manufacturers maybe do the tinning for the customer?
When the bare boards come here, this board, why, the question is, why doesn't this come pre-tinned? Well, the way the board is manufactured at the circuit board houses, you can't really tin them as part of that process.
Gotcha.
It's just the way they make them. So you have to tin them later. And you're better off, because the rosin core, here again, in this, we probably never see it, but inside of this, I'm holding this piece of solder here. Inside this tiny strand of solder, the flux is actually inside there. If you actually look at it sometime, you'll see there's actually a hole there in the middle, and that's where the flux is. And that stuff, you want it to be fresh, honestly. When I just put that on there, it stays kind of, I wouldn't say tacky, but it's fresh. You want fresh solder. Any plumber or anybody who's worked with copper and soldering of any type will tell you that flux is the most important key to getting a good solder joint. You cannot solder anything without flux, a good flux on anything you solder. So by tinning it now, just as we're ready to attach the wires, you have fresh flux on there. It's not going to be stale. And when there's a little bit of flux still actually on these boards, it's clear, you can't really see it, but around these pads it's there. And that's going to help give me a professional installation. When I tack these wires down to those pads, there's fresh flux and solder on the wire and on the pad. And you'll see that, in fact, let's get to it now. I'm going to start putting these wires down. And my contact time for attaching these wires is going to be less than a second, okay? All right, I'm going to position this wire here. Before I solder it, I'll try to get my hands out of the way so you can see it. Or better yet, maybe I'll grab it with, normally I just use my hands, but I'll maybe use the pliers here just so you can see better. Hopefully you can see that. Our pad is tinned, our wire is tinned, and my contact time, you want to bring all three together at once. I'm going to go boom like this. So we go, ready, one, I'm going to go start, stop, boom. When I said start, stop, that's when I made my contact. When I said stop, that's when I was done. That's how long it takes. You don't want to I'll put a lot of heat into the board, okay? And if you've done all your preparation work correctly by soldering, tinning everything and ahead of time, you'll get that same result. And that, a couple things that does, you're not melting the insulation on the wire, in less than a second. You're not putting too much heat into the wire, you're not putting too much heat into the board. You'll get a nice, clean, professional solder joint there.
That looks good.
So, yeah, that's what you want.
What brand wattage soldering iron are you using, and what is the heat setting on your soldering station? Both Thomas and Cindy had great questions.
Okay, we'll review that. This is a Weller iron. This is the holder. Okay, I don't know if we've shown that before yet. This is a typical soldering iron holder like this. This Weller stand comes with, you can buy this separately, or sometimes you can buy this along with the iron in a kit. This is an 80-watt iron. It says right here, WSP 80, 24 volt, 80 watt. I don't know if you can see that on there, right there.
Yep.
See that? Okay. But what's important to understand about this, we're not pumping 80 watts into these solder joints. We have the ability for this iron to put out 80 watts, but it might only be putting out 15 to 20 watts at any moment in time. What's the key to this good soldering station here is the fact that oh, I accidentally bumped the temperature setting here. These arrows here, I can adjust the temperature. Can we see that okay, Ken?
A little bit more down, sorry.
All right, let me just...
Yeah, there you go. Now you see the temperature setting.
So we're temperature controlling, which is more important than selecting the power rating. All right, and these buttons here, I can bump up the temperature. I typically run at about 720, 725, in that range. If I wanted to go down, your iron will work down to 680 or even a little bit lower. And some people say, well, running at 680, that's all you need. Well, as kind of a professional who's been soldering all my life, I like to run it at 720 because it's faster. I can get on and off quicker at 720 and save myself time, and time is important for me as a manufacturer. So I chose 720 as my temperature there, but in temperatures actually between 670 and 720 will all work fine. All right. So now I'm going to spin our subject around, and always, when it's easy. Here's another soldering tip. If you were to look at me, maybe from let's just keep it at this shot. I have my arms resting on the edge of the table here, and so I'm steady. I'm not working in space with my arms not resting, because you're a little shaky. You want to do all your work so on supported, so you're comfortable. So when it was this way, I'm not going to try to reach across and do that side. Turn the locomotive around and be comfortable. Set yourself up so that you're relaxed, comfortable, and there again, we're going to position our wires exactly how we want them. There again, they're already tinned, and the wires are tinned and the pads are tinned. So here again, contact time less than a second. Here's the wire. We're going to drop it onto that pad. This is a track power pad. Start, stop, done. That's how long it took to attach that wire. Now I'm just going to go, for time's sake, just quickly do all the rest of them here.
I see why the tinning is so important now. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And start, stop. Got our other track power there. At this point, all of our track power is on. I'm going to take care of the motor leads next. Back on this side, we have this is one of our motor leads, and the other motor lead is coming. Actually, got underneath the board here. We're just going to put that back through because it's got attached to the other side. So we'll just give me a moment to.
On our site, TrainWorld.com, we do sell the KD tweezers, and then also we do carry some Weller irons, soldering irons as well.
Okay, next I'm going to attach motor leads. Here again, same technique. One thing you'll notice on these motherboards, I'll point out now, there's a little bit of a cutout right here where you attach your motor leads, and you'll see that on all of our motherboards. That's kind of important to know why they're there. When the shell goes on, when we put the apologize, I bumped the camera. When the shell goes on, you don't want your wires laying in here, because the shell can go right down and you'll get a pinched wire in there. So your motor wire leads are going to end up tucking underneath this and coming up through here and onto here. So they'll stay out of any pinch point. And when we're when we're ready to button up and harness up all the wires, I'll show you that again. So you see what that looks like later. But for now, we're just going to, there we go, start, stop. We got one motor lead on. We're going to go around, get the other motor lead on. Okay, and now we're going to move right to the LEDs. We're going to reuse the original LEDs that were in here. Some locomotives still come with bulbs. More and more, most manufacturers are using LEDs. As bulbs are kind of quickly disappearing.
John, what's the difference between a LED and a regular bulb? Because I know a lot of the hardcore hobbyists are now they really want LEDs. Is it that big of a difference in lighting?
Yes. Well, the advantages of an LED is they last a lot longer. They're easy to get, and you can get them in different colors. I mean, I say colors. There's not just white LEDs. There's some LEDs, white LEDs are more bluish. Some are, you have your golden whites, sunny whites, and you know, you want to, get a good color that works well for these models. We typically use either golden white or sunny white, but an LED is more robust. Like I say, lasts longer, and they're cheap nowadays. The main difference between a bulb and an LED, right? Just reattach the LED wires. The main difference between a bulb and an LED is more of a current device. A bulb is more of a voltage device. Say a bulb, a 12-volt bulb, which you would typically have in, in installation, in locomotives. In order to get the bulb to come full brightness on, you'd have to run your locomotive at full speed, put 12 volts on the track, and you'd have a nice looking bulb. But you'd also have a locomotive that's a race car, going around the track. So that's in fact the reason why Athearn, and still to this day, uses 1.5 volt bulbs, because you can get a 1.5 volt bulb, a voltage to light full brightness at a low voltage without having to run the locomotive at full 12 volts track power. But with LEDs, they will come full brightness at about 2.5 volts, but don't think of LEDs as what voltage rating you have. Typically, the way you hook up an LED, you just hook it right across the 12 volts, but you have to have a current limit resistor in series with it. If you don't have a current limit resistor in series with it, you just hook it directly to 12 volt bulbs, it'll be like a little firecracker. Pop. It'll go instantly. You have to have a current limit. Do you see? Notice I'm talking about current limiting, not voltage limiting. We typically use a 1K resistor for just about all the LEDs we do. It's very. I may have gotten these leads backwards here. Yeah. Now, one thing to note about our motherboard is all those resistors are built into the motherboard. That's another advantage that you have, a huge advantage actually, with buying the WOW kits and doing a WOW kit installation for your sound. You don't have to worry about current limit resistors. They're actually built into the board. It's probably too late, but you might be able to see on the bottom side of this board, there are components under here. Can we see them, Ken?
Yeah.
Okay. They're current limit resistors. There's some circuitry in there for the keep alive, but they're all the resistors that are built into the board. So you don't have to, if you want to add LEDs, you basically hook them up just the way you'd hook up a bulb before. You don't have to worry about the current limiting resistors. They're already built in.
Now, John Curtis had a great question. Are these boards loco specific? Are they genre specific? How would Curtis know which board to pick out?
Good question. We have so far somewhere around 25 different WOW kits. That means you have some sort of combination between the motherboard, the speaker, and the decoder. But when it comes down to just motherboards, we have that make up the kits. There's less than 10. There's, I'm going to say 6 maybe of these boards, even though there's 25 kits, there's only 6 motherboards. This one here, you can see it's called the AKMB1. This is for, AK stands for Atlas Kato. So this motherboard here will fit practically 90% of all Atlas HO locomotives and almost 100% of all Kato. We're talking diesel now, obviously, not steam. So this will fit almost 100% of all Kato locomotives. So this motherboard here, the AK, covers basically all of Atlas and Kato. We have other motherboards. For example, we have one called the Gen MB1 here. In fact, I have some right here. We'll go through these. These are basically the motherboards that we have. Just pick them out. There's another AK MB1. This here is a RTR MB1. A reason it's called RTR is because the Athearn RTR is ready to roll, ready to run. This particular motherboard has the built-in keep alive. I flip it over, you can see. Here's your keep alive, the circuitry for the keep alive on there. This also has a clip. If you're familiar with your blue box or your RTRs, they have this clip on. You clip this right on top of the motor. So this here is for all your Athearn RTRs, and there's just, who knows, maybe 50 different RTRs, maybe 100 different RTRs that Athearn came out with over the years. There again, this is the motherboard, and the same decoder just plugs in there, just like that. Okay, when we're done installation, this is just like it'll go into there when we're done. So here's one we have for the Intermountain Bowser. That's why we call this the IB-MB1. MB1 stands for motherboard 1. IB stands for Intermountain Bowser. So this board here will fit in almost every Intermountain or Bowser locomotive, diesel HO locomotive made in the last, who knows, 5 to 10 years. So that's a very common one. This is our newest one, the ASMB2. Atlas in the last 5 years kind of got away from this style board. This is the Atlas typical that they had for almost 2 decades. And in the last 5 years, they shortened it and they went to a smaller profile. And this is our answer for the newer style Atlas ones. So basically we have, there's a few more besides these, but there's, like say, 5, 6, or 7 different motherboards we have. But basically these will fit just about anything out there. Intermountain, Bowser, Kato, Athearn ready to roll, Athearn Genesis. Okay.
Yeah, so, and Curtis, I'm scrolling on our TrainWorld.com webpage, and you can see all the WOW kits that we sell. And you'll see ATH-8, -7, and then if you click onto it, it has the instructions that TCS has on their website, and it will kind of let you know which ones to use, what it comes with, and you can see these kits. You know, 1 diesel decoder, 1 motherboard, 1 WOW speaker housing, 1 WOW speaker, 1 JST speaker connector. So you're getting a lot of value, John, in these kits, and you're really making it simple. And I think you guys are pretty much the only people who do something like this. So, and I could be wrong, but this just makes it so much easier.
You're right about that, Ken. As far as I know, TCS is the only one that offers kits like this to make it easy. And I mean, it's a lot of work for us to come up with these kits and to figure out what fits where and so on. But that's why we have hundreds of installations to demonstrate all this. So we've done all the hard work and figured all this out. So I mean, let's face it. We all have, you know, what modeler doesn't have 100 locomotives in his collection over the years, you know?
Right.
And a lot of this stuff is older stuff that was pre DCC sound ready, okay? And you have these hundreds of locomotives perhaps that your favorite locomotives, you'd love to get sound in them, but you don't know where to start. we have solved that problem for you with these kits. So everything we're doing here is basically not, the kits are really not designed so much for the newer stuff that is sound ready installed. These kits are for your fleet of locomotives you've been collecting for the last 2 decades or more. And these kits make doing those installations really easy. Like I said, through the giving you everything you need, we figured out what's needed for what a locomotive. We put it in the kit, put the installation pictures in there, and so forth. Right now, I'm just tucking the wires in. We're going to try to keep moving on here for time's sake. I'm going to basically the basic installation is now done. The LEDs are hooked up. The motherboard is in. We're ready to plug the decoder in a try, but we do have to do the speaker next. So I'm going to set the locomotive aside. When you get the WOW kit, you're going to have the speaker here like this. You'll get some purple wire. We're going to very quickly, using the same solder techniques. We've already pre-tinned the pads for the speaker here, and I'm going to quickly on and off. We don't get heat into the speaker too much. You'll see my contact time. I'm going to say start finish when I'm doing this. Start finish. Boom. Done. Ready. Start finish. Okay. So I've just attached the wires. Okay. We're going to take our enclosure and on this enclosure for this is a 35 by 16. Now, like I said, this comes in this kit. That you'll see this list everything up top here. There's actually a picture on our kits of everything you get: the speaker, the enclosure, the motherboard, the decoder, and there's a list of here also on our instructions of what locomotives this kit is used for. This is not necessarily limited to these. As we find out more and get the pictures done, we add to these lists. But getting back to the enclosure here, we're going to now feed our wires. There's little holes on this one side here that we got to feed our wires through. Okay. Actually, I put that in the wrong hole.
And John, Donald had a question if you have decoders for lifelike Proto 2000, and I'm pretty sure you do.
That's a very good question, Donald. We looked at that a whole lot. We looked at those lifelikes because there's literally a million, more than, maybe 1.5 million of those things out there. There's just so many. And what's our solution for them? And a lot of people have them. I know I've got a number of them myself. I haven't come to an easy solution for kits for them yet. They were kind of they weren't really thinking about they weren't thinking sound at the time for those P2Ks at all. They basically filled up the whole frames with metal, so there's really no place for a speaker or hardly even for a decoder. We don't really have a good answer for them yet, but we've given it a lot of thought, and it's on our agenda to try to come up with solutions for them. But unfortunately, I don't have a good solution for them just yet. Think of other kits. We do mention real quickly. These are some of our steam. We also have steam WOW kits for those who are steam. I'm a steam guy myself. These are just different samples of different ones. This one here is for P2K. So this one does fit P2K, but it's for steam. This one, these fit a lot of the Bachmann steamers, these two. So we have a number of kits, WOW kits for steam. Now, getting back to this enclosure, I think it would be a good information for people to know about before I just snap this. I'm not going to need to glue this enclosure in or anything, but there's a hole here on the back of this enclosure. See that right here. We find that it's important to port. When I say port, P-O-R-T, we port the speakers so that you get a better quality sound. if you don't have some sort of porting hole in your enclosure, it's not going to sound as good. It really makes a big difference. It's important to have porting on your speakers. And you don't want too much. You think, oh, one hole is good, even more would be better. No, you just want, this is about an 1/8" hole, and that's all you need. If you put more in, the sound quality actually starts going back down. I'll just say, throw this out there real quick. Think about Bose. Everybody knows the name Bose for speakers and how great audio is sounding. The main reason they have such good sound quality that they achieve is not because they figured out some magical material for the cone, or that they're using any sort of magical magnets or anything like that. The magic of Bose is in their enclosures. Enclosure design is so key to the quality of the sound. So we've experimented with different size holes here and porting, and we've come to, for these size, to get the best optimal sound out, we've done that. And we don't, depending on the enclosure, they're not always on the bottom. On some of them, they're actually on the end, and that seemed to work better. So if you do go to install this, and you have to install this up underneath the, say, like the underside of the frame, like on this locomotive here, and some you might have to glue that up in there. And if you end up having to cover that hole up, before you do that, we recommend putting a new port hole, let's say on the ends here.
It's a good tip.
Yes, that'll give you that, keep that quality of sound up. Now, I've been handling this here is still loose. Once you line it up, it's kind of just a press fit, all right, which I'm going to do now. Just line it up. Oh, I think I had a speaker wire pinched in there. So move that.
And getting a couple of more specific, but MTH-HO equipped with ProtoSound 3, can someone replace using one of your decoders, and also MRC Platinum series?
Off the top of my head, I can't say, yeah, use this kit or that kit for this particular locomotive.
Right.
But yes, you can. With our kits, you can pretty much easily adapt to almost anything out there. Where as time goes on, we're more and more putting more and more installations up. So I would say, keep an eye on the website. Check in or try one yourself. We try to, as a company, we try to keep offering solutions, and there's no end to what we're not going to stop at any point. We're just going to keep going with every locomotive out there. If it exists, we're going to eventually get around to looking at it and offering a solution. So, but we don't have a lot of solutions for MTH just yet, but I know it's doable. Just put that back together. All right, I'm going to bring our locomotive back here. I do need the shell. Kind of get that back together. This particular shell, the fan housing in the top, has see-through grills, pass-through grills. By this, you can see how that's open. We're going to take advantage of that by putting our speaker right up underneath there, facing up. So I'm going to take this speaker. There's two little tabs down there that are kind of in the way. What I'm talking about is these here exhaust stacks were a piece glued into the top of this afterwards, and there's a little nib on the inside that sticking down, and just a tiny little piece. I'm just gonna
and I just want to let Bill know that yes, TCS does have videos that you could watch, and on their website on the left hand side it does have a video link for them. And John, do you make wire harnesses as well?
We do. We have wire harnesses. Wire is a product we sell. We have all of our wire that you see right here is a semi-custom wire that we have made for us. It's a very thin insulation and it's also very flexible. And this particular wire is 32 gauge, and you can buy this wire. We supply this wire in like 10-foot pieces or 20-foot pieces, or you can even buy it from us in a 100-foot spool. We do. When you talk about harnesses, we do your standard non-sound decoders. We harness a whole slew of different harnesses available. One side with the JST 9-pin on it, one with the 8-pin NMRA. We have. Here's an example of our wire that we sell, packs like this. Okay. We also have a whole line of connectors like this, 2-pin connectors. Right there is a 2-pin. We have these mini connectors in 4-pin like this. So we have a whole lot of accessory products: pins, connectors, wire, and harnesses. We have
That's great.
a line of all. Well, for time's sake, I'm going to keep moving on here. I'm going to take this speaker now, and I'm just going to. I'm actually going to use a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to, first of all, position the speaker down in there, and it's going to be underneath that opening on the top where the fan housing is. So our sound is primarily going to be coming out here a lot. Now, I have a hot glue gun over here. Now, don't ever try to stick this glue gun in there. You'll, like this, that's not wrong. That tip will melt your plastic. What I do instead, I'll try to get this on camera. Okay. I'll just put a blob here like this. Like that, all right? And then I'll grab the screwdriver here, and I'll dip a little bit on there like this, and then I'll go down and glue it into the side. You don't need a whole lot. You just need enough that hold it in place. Another advantage of doing it this way, the glue is not so hot that it's going to, if you just put the glue directly in there, it could actually be close to melting the plastic or something. But now it's cooled enough, and it's kind of stringy. Sometimes you just got to add more because it cools quickly, and you need some fresh stuff. So I'll get a little bit of fresh here. There, and all right, I think that should be enough, and I'll get this out of the way. You got those stringy stuff on there, but don't worry about that. That stuff easily comes off later. Kind of annoying, that stuff is, but it's harmless.
And John, Jimmy wants to know if you have a Broadway Limited Paragon 3 Steam Kit yet.
No, we don't have a specific kit for that yet.
Okay. I'm sure that's something they'll keep on working, coming out with new kits always on certain products. So just keep a look at the website and keep on checking back.
Yep. And like I say, there's not a locomotive out there that we're not eventually going to have one for. We have a whole lot of coverage, but we've got a long ways to go. So there's our speaker installed in there. You can see I just put a little bit of glue here. I put a little dab in each corner. I didn't actually hold the speaker down real tight against the top. It's kind of floating a little bit, gave me a little bit of space just to make sure I didn't have anything right against the speaker code in there. All right. So we're going to bring back our locomotive now, our chassis, I should say, and we're going to take our speaker wires, and we need to. I like to give a little S-bend like this. I say, let me see if I can show it to you. Speaker wires are coming out that way. So they'll go that way, Then I'll turn them this way, like this. So when we go in and out, we have kind of this motion in and out. And I'm going to use some of our lacing cord to help with that in a moment. But for now, I'm just selecting the length I need. You don't want to have excess in there. You know, use what you need to get the job done. But if there's excess like this, cut it off short, because you don't want the wire to get into places against flywheels or places that they don't want it to be. That could cause trouble. Here I'm stripping the wires. I'm just using, here again, this is a technical tool. I'm using a 30 gauge stripper size there. Now I got to tin these wires. Put this back here again so you can see. And here again, see how short I kept that strip length? That's critical. I mean, it's literally about a 64th of an inch. Let's see that. I don't know if you can see that, Ken.
Yep.
All right, that's what you want to do. That's how to do this to get professional results. All right, now we're going to take our iron, tin. Now we've already pre-tinned our speaker tabs earlier. They're right here. So I'm going to come in from this side and attach them to leave room for the decoder, which goes here. There's actually a white outline sort of here that shows you where the decoder is going to go. So rather than bring the wires in from this side and get them underneath the decoder, we'll keep this. In fact, I'm going to turn this way and this way so I can keep working with the iron in my right hand and the wires in my left.
Yeah, John, just to let you know that you have over 1,100 people watching you so far.
Awesome, good. I love it. All right, here again, our contact time. I'm going to say start, stop. Try to get my hand out of this so you can get a really good view. All right, the wire's positioned right, almost like touching the pad. Everything's tinned. Right, start, stop. Boom. You see that? Now you do a nice clean attaching of the wire. There again, there's no, because they kept the lead short, there's no frayed wires, nothing out of the boundary of the pad, nice and clean. Get in position, start, stop. That wire kind of moved on me a little bit. I'm going to take it off and try it again. Start, stop. Okay, there's our speaker attached. Now, since we're getting on in time here, I don't want to miss talking about this here lacing cord. This is really awesome stuff. We talked about this earlier for those of you who are just maybe joined us later. Again, this is something that you can get from a company called DigiKey. There's all different kind of sizes available of this. This is a wax impregnated string that's great for making harnesses. It's designed for harnesses. Originally made this stuff back in the days of tube radios and tube TVs. Before they had tie wraps, this is what was used and still available. And this is what, that's the material of choice for cleaning up wires. So you'll see what I'm going to do here. And this stuff is so cheap. Don't worry about cutting a nice long piece to work with and throw the scraps away. I'm just going to tie a knot in it like this. Okay, just a simple knot. Loop it through and like that. Okay. What that does is it bundles the two wires together. Cut off the extra, and one knot is all you need. I mean, because it doesn't come out. That's the part about the wax impregnated part about this string. That'll never come loose. That'll hold like that forever with just one simple knot. I'm going to put another one up here farther just to make a nice harness out of these two wires. And what's nice is you have the two wires together as a bundle. When you put this in and put it together. Well, let me first get the excess out of the way. But what you're going to get with that is the wires go together. One's wire's not going to go boing this way, and another going this way, and you got to try to, get both tucked in without getting a pinch somewhere. By bundling them together like that and making it into a harness, here again we'll put our S-bend in it like this. All right, so that when you go and put the shell on, it's like an accordion like this, boom, and everything just falls right into place like that. If I didn't do that, I'd probably have one purple wire come on to spring out this way and another one spring out the back. We eliminate all that. So this not only makes it nice and neat and clean and professional looking, it really saves on having pinched wires and problematic installations and things like that. Now, one of the very last thing you do is, well, not maybe the very last, but the next thing is take our decoder, and we're gonna, this is a 21 pin, it's called an MTC 21. The MT actually stands for Markland Tricks, which European, they were kind of the first ones to use this type of connector. It's really come into prominent use all around the world in the US and everything. It's a standard connector. Obviously, the NMRA has adopted this pin out as well, so it's all standardized. So this type of connector is the same for all the manufacturers. TCS, we all use it the same. So you can use this connector in anywhere there's a 21 NTC. It's a standard, all right? And this is a standard 21 NTC connector in both male and female. One other thing I'll mention, it's a bottom entry. When you first look at this, you'll say, oh, there's the connector. I'll plug these pins into it like this. Well, that would be wrong. That's upside down. When we say bottom entry, we'll take a real close look at this. The connector's on the top of the printed circuit board, but you actually put the pins from here, go through this side. You really can't get it wrong because it is keyed. You'll notice right here there's a blank spot. Can we see that all right, Ken? Blank spot there, and down here there's a index pin. So that's how we plug it in. Boom, snapped in, it's done. Now, before I put the shell on and get all done with that, it's actually time to try it. We'll put this, we got a test track right back here. Set it on the track.
There you go.
There you go. Here at the moment. Actually, I will put this shell on because it kind of probably sounds a little better if we.
And just so everybody knows, Bill had a great question. You could watch this video while you do your own installs. We'll have it posted on the TrainWorldTV YouTube page as well, and it will stay on Facebook for a while. So you can continue to watch this video as you do your installs. And TCS also has some great videos on their website that are very informative as well.
Yeah, I want to get the shell on just far enough right now, just so you can hear what it sounds like with the shell on. I probably should spend a little more time tucking these wires in, but for right now, we'll.
John, just a quick question. I've been asking. Does TCS support custom sounds, or is it are you able to add custom sounds? He says that functions 19 to 28 aren't supported, but there are no sounds mapped to it. So can he map his own sounds, or is something not available yet?
In other words, the question, as I understand it, can he have his own recorded sounds and load them onto the decoder?
Right.
As of now, that's not possible to do that yet.
Okay.
We don't support that just yet.
Maybe in the future, Evan. You never know.
In the future, that could be a possibility. Yeah. I'm just a moment to tuck these wires in. One thing that we do include in our decoders is all the sounds that we have currently in our library, they are on the decoder. So typically right now, we have over 30 horns all in the one decoder. And I'll demonstrate that. I know, having a little trouble with this. Oh, there it goes. That'll be good enough for now. We'll go tuck that in. So we have over 30 horns. Okay. In this decoder, there are currently 13 different prime movers. All right. There's over 30 horns. There's over, is it 30 or 40 bells, different bells. We have, I think, 6 or 7 different compressors, air compressors. We have a whole lot of different brake squeal sounds. There's just literally there's hundreds of sounds on here. You'll find more sound on this decoder than any other decoder manufactured. It's all in one decoder. And the reason we can do that, let's just talk about that briefly. Just blow a horn here for you for a moment. We like to use the NC. Okay.
Loud. Wow. Very cool.
I'll show you in a minute why we can do that, but let me just show you real quickly about how to change a horn. You can do a lot of setup and programming with our decoders without ever having to worry about a CV. There's a feature called Audio Assist. We'll give a quick demonstration of that. Just try to wrap things up. If I press button, let's see, I'm pressing the horn. Very responsive. If I press button 9.
GE 45 tonner, single chime. GE 80 tonner. GE U-boat. Hancock air whistle. Leslie 125.
All I'm doing there is I'm hitting the rotate button, which is button 9 on your controller, okay? And up here's the horn whistle, right? So if you hit button 9, this is by default, as you get the decoder, this is what you'll get out of the bag. Now you can remap. I think somebody was asking about remapping. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But by default, button 9.
Leslie 200, single note.
So there's no CV programming. You don't have to worry about, looking something up, going to your, just kidding.
Leslie 3 chime. Leslie. Nathan.
That's amazing.
There's actually a whole bunch more. If you get to a whistle or a horn rather like that,
K5LLA.
And you want to go back one, just hit your direction button on your controller. Right now we're forward. Can you see that okay? If I change the direction to reverse and then hit the rotate button, it goes backwards. In other words, instead of going from A to Z, we're now going to go Z to A, and I can back up one.
K5LA.
So I'm back to the one I just had. You can also do the same thing with the bell. To select your bell, just ring the bell. Okay? That by default is the E bell. Now button 9 rotates the bell because we selected a bell. All right, go forward. Let's just leave it there, and we'll just play it. That might be a typical diesel bell. So there's, 40 different bells you can use.
You really give a lot of options for the consumer. A lot of different bells, a lot of different horns. That's great.
Right. It's all included in the decoder. You don't have to download anything or go and, oh, I want a different whistle or bell. I need to go download something or buy a different decoder. They're all there. It's all
Right.
included, there's a huge variety of things there. So we'll give a real quick lesson on audio assist. If you want to change the prime mover, for example, right now by default, that prime mover that you hear is an Alco 244. Well, this is an EMD locomotive, so that really won't do. I think this was a 645 non-turbo prime mover in here, would be the correct one, if I remember right. So I'm going to go into audio assist. I do that by pushing button 8 here 4 times kind of quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Audio Assist.
You'll get this message.
Use button 1 to hear the sound programming options. Use button 2 to hear the lighting programming options. Use button 3 to hear the motor control programming options. Use button 4 to hear additional options. Use button 0 to exit audio assist.
All right, that's coming right out of the decoder. This is audio assist. So we're going to do button 1 is going to select the sound. So here's button 1.
Use button 1
When you do that,
to adjust
the next menu will come.
volumes. Use button 2 to map a sound to a button. Use button 3 to select a prime mover.
So that's what we want to do,
Use
button 3.
9, press button 1 to rotate through the prime mover manufacturers. Press button 2 to select an individual prime mover.
Right.
Press button 3 if your engine has 2 prime movers. Press button 4 if your engine has 1 prime mover. Use button 9 to return to the previous menu.
So what we're going to do here is
exit audio assist.
you don't have to wait till she's done talking. I just let her talk. If you cut her off by pressing the button, she won't get mad at you.
Press button 1.
Well, she'll repeat the menu. So we're going to do 1.
EMD, AE, Alco, EMD.
So that's what we want. That's the manufacturer. And next we'll use button 2.
EMD 567 non-turbo.
No, that's not the right prime mover. Hit button 2 again.
567 turbocharged.
No, we don't want that.
EMD 645 non-turbo. Locomotive 1.
We have 3 different recordings of the 645 non-turbo. My preference is number 3. So we'll hit button 2
EMD
again.
645 non-turbo. Locomotive 2. EMD 645 non-turbo. Locomotive 3.
So that's the one we want. That should be the right prime mover for this locomotive. So all we need to do now is hit button 8 to save that.
Saved.
And then to exit,
Press button 1.
0.
Bye.
All right, let's give a listen for all you sound experts. It's no longer an Alco 244. It is now a EMD 645 non-turbo. It's that easy. You don't have, like I say, all our sounds are all in one decoder. I'll talk a minute, but some people may be wondering, how on earth do we do that? How do we have all those sounds in one decoder? That's not something that's anybody else in the industry is doing. We're really the only ones. The reason we can do that is because we are using SD card technology. Let me show you. This is the bottom. This is the top of this decoder that's using today. WOW 121. This is the bottom. This is an SD card. What an SD card is, this is what's in your cell phones. This is mobile memory storage. You can have gigabytes of storage on this, and it actually pops out like that. We're using an 8 gig card in here. We can hold with 8 gigs about 100 hours of CD quality sound. Let's go that locomotive while I'm talking. So we can have, like I say, 100 hours of CD quality sound. True CD quality, which I'll also briefly talk about that. That's true 16 bits of resolution at 44,100 samples per second. This is the only decoder in the world that has that high quality of sound. In fact, it's the only decoder in the world that is true 16-bit. Some other manufacturers may say that they're 16-bit, but they're not 16-bit sound. They may have a 16-bit sound processor, but if you don't store your audio files in 16-bit format like you can with gigabytes of storage. And if you don't have a 16 what's called a digital to analog converter to convert the sounds back to analog, you don't have a 16-bit sound decoder. You need all three. You need three things. You need to store the sounds in 16-bit format. You need a 16-bit processor to process the sounds, and you need a 16-bit D to A converter. All the other manufacturers that claim to be 16-bit have one of them. They have a 16-bit processor, but they're not storing in 16-bit, and they're not using a 16-bit D to A converter. This is the only sound decoder in the world that does it. It's true 16-bit sound, not just a 16-bit processor. And like I say, somebody corrected me, with 8 gigabytes, we actually have 24 hours of sound that we can store. So that's kind of nice to know. True CD quality, we can have all these different prime movers, all these different bells, compressors, all this stuff, all on one decoder. This back one. I'm just going to quickly notch up here, just so you hear. I don't really have room on my test track to run it, but just we could do manual notching. Well, first of all, let's turn it off. Start it back up. Let's try notching up here. I think we're about notch 4 there. Sounds awesome. Notch up a little more. I think we're notch 5 or 6 there. Seven. I'll go back down now. Notice the smooth transitions of the sounds you hear. That's about notch 3, I think. 2. Yeah, we're back to idle there. So that gives you a sampling of the sounds. Might as well talk real quickly about auto notching. TCS, we have a feature called auto notching. As the locomotive does more work, it automatically notches up. Some of you may not be familiar with that feature. Let's see if we can quickly demonstrate that. I'm going to go up to about speed step 10 here. Now let's try in the other direction. It's just let's start from 0. Okay. We'll just go to say speed step 6 of 128. What we really need to do is calibrate this. It's not calibrated, so it's not a good way of demonstrating this feature. But if we add load to this, it'll notch up higher. And as right, leave go, and it'll notch down. That's the auto notching feature. There's actually a way to calibrate that for your layout and your loco. It's really easy. It's done through Audio Assist, and it optimizes the dynamic sound range. So as you're going around in your layout with your grades and whatnot, it's going to sound just perfect. You know, it's going to behave just like the real thing does. You know, that's auto notching down. I'm not touching anything right now. All right, but there is a calibration procedure for you to do that. It's real simple and easy to follow. We don't really have enough time or the space here to show you that, but that's important to do for the TCS decoder because it really optimizes. It's going to give you the most fun and pleasure about running this decoder when you optimize that for your layout. It's really awesome to see this locomotive running around, hits a grade, and it notches up. Coming downhill, it's going to notch down and go to a lower notch or maybe even to idle, just like the real locomotives do. And it does that all automatically. The only decoder in the world that does that. So that's an important feature.
That's great.
So we've covered a lot here. It's been like an hour and a half long video. I don't know. There's actually a lot more we could talk about. I mean, the wow sound is awesome. I could go on, but is there any other questions?
Yeah, John, first of all, I want to thank you and everybody out there. Over 1,500 people watch you doing that, and not many places could get the CEO of TCS to take a couple of hours out of his day to do a decoder install. So for that, we definitely appreciate it. And we actually have been answering questions all day, and we've kind of wrapped up everything, which is great. You really went in depth. And for everyone, you could continue to watch this video if you do your own, order your TCS WOW kit and you want to go through installation. We'll have this video up on YouTube and it will stay on Facebook so you could continue to watch this video. And I know a lot of people who weren't able today will continue to watch this video because, John, your wealth of knowledge and going through step by step, there's so many things I learned that I had no idea what tinning was, learned what tinning was, how to do the process. So it was really awesome to go step by step and a lot of people asking questions. And Willie wants to thank you as well. Thanks, Willie, for joining us. It was a great video. Thank you so much, Sean. And I just want to show everyone, I guess, TCS's website as well as our website. This way you guys know how to get the instructions. So TCS has so much information. You can see their videos here, which was a question, and also they have decoder installation, I guess step-by-step guides that you can watch, which is great, and see clear pictures, know how to do this. I mean, we went through so much today, so it's a little easier when you have a website and also video to walk you through. So you have both. And then if you go to our website, TrainWorld.com, manufacturers, TCS Train Control Systems, and basically there's HO scale, N scale, TCS control systems, accessories, the wires, harness kits, speakers, baffles, and then the WOW kits. We sell them all. You can purchase them on our website, and all here simple, easy. So if you watch this video, you want to give everything a shot. Give DCC a shot. Try it. I mean, John basically walked you through simple as pie. I mean, he's a professional, but I expect a little bit of learning curve, but you'll get there. And one thing about the train industry and model trains is people like to be hands-on. They like to do things themselves, building a layout, actually buying a decoder through TCS and installing it. It's a fun thing, and that's why trains is a hobby. So don't be afraid. DCC is not here to scare everyone. So order one, give it a shot. If you want to start off slow with the regular DCC chip, that's fine. TCS sells that as well. So don't be afraid. John is here to walk you through. And thank you so much, John. We really appreciate it. Everybody thanks you on the website, and Willie's also going to give it a shot. So
Excellent.
we thank you so much, John. If there's anything else, let us know. But
well, great. It's been a real pleasure sharing this time with y'all and being able to demonstrate it. Absolutely my pleasure. Glad I could be here, Ken. Thanks for hosting, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great, John, and hopefully we'll do this in the future. Over 1,500 people just watching you over the hour, which is great, more than many shows. So it's a great thing. And John, I'm going to leave out, and thank you everybody for joining us and participating as well.
Everybody.